Just tell me your name.
My name? Bev Armstrong.
Bev Armstrong? Ah, the Armstrong, that's an old family. This is Armstrong Road.
Damo, my father's sister. Well, there was two of them at MacDonald.
John was my brother.
Okay.
MacDonald. So, yeah.
Okay.
We don't have relatives. There's a lot of Armstrongs here in Northcliffe, but we're not related to any of them.
Okay.
So, yeah, we were a one-off in Bunbury.
And you grew up in, this is your boy?
No, it's my nephew. That's my boy. Matthew's my boy. You might help too, Dave.
Are you
Yeah,
going
so you obviously grew up, spent some time.
On the farm, I was 3 when we came to Perth. Came down, it was the, what did they call it?
Group settlements?
Yeah.
Do you want me to press play?
Not group settlements. My dad was,
Conditional purchase?
post
World War II. Ah, yes, the army personnel got given. Yes, there were two types, group settlement or the army ones.
I've got all the things in my head, but I can't think of them.
So the conditional purchase thing meant that you had to do a certain amount of work on the land, developing and clearing.
And that's what my dad and mum came with, John and I, my brother and I. He was 18 months with Stephen's dad.
And whereabouts is this one?
Our place.
Oh, the original one.
Yeah.
It's out of Richardson Road.
Richardson Road.
Where Davo lives.
And David's there now, and so is John's wife, Stephen's mum, still lives out there. Yeah, she still lives out there. So that's where we're going today. We're heading out there to see the farm, which we haven't seen for a long time.
So you went to school in Northcliffe?
Yeah. Went to year 10, you know, it was 10, it used to be called a different thing then. And then I went to Bunbury High. Yeah.
It's still the same in Northcliffe after all these years.
Yeah.
Once you get to year 10, you've got to go to
Stop.
Manchester.
You've got to go to Manchester. Yeah, so I went to Bunbury, and there was a CWA hostel there, so I stayed there for 3 years. Yeah, at the time of my life.
Is that when you started doing nursing?
No, then after the 3 years, I was about 15, and I came back to Northcliffe. I had the love for Northcliffe, you know. And of course, your dad, the farm wasn't producing a lot. So John, your dad, had to go out and he went to the forestry, you know, earn a living because the farm wasn't producing a lot. We had a dairy farm. Yeah. It was a dairy farm that we had. So we had to. So I stayed on the farm and I milked the cows. And my dad and I did that. We only had a small, 45 cows. And then my dad, he was pretty forward-thinking, wasn't he? Yeah, and he said, this is not the place for you, because I had a small job in the bakery and, doing things, and I was having a time in my life, because, junior farmers and going to different social events. And then, of course, my dad said, now Bev, I think you should go away. He said, what about joining
in the
army?
nicest possible way, I'm sure.
He did. And he said, the army, and I went, the army? Where do you have to go for that? And he said, oh, probably over east. And I said, well, hardly. I'm not going over east. And then he said, what about nursing? So I said, oh, I might give that a go. So in our days, it wasn't hard to get into nursing. It wasn't
It's
hard
still screaming out for nurses.
They're hard to come by because it's tough. I wouldn't like to be a nurse now, but I just wrote to the matron of Royal Perth, and within a couple of weeks I had an interview with the director of nursing, and before I knew it I was in there. Yeah, I got 3 years at Royal Perth and did the training there and came out and came down to Bunbury. So that's where we ended up, in Bunbury. Yeah, so
have you seen Northcliffe? I suppose we've seen Northcliffe change a bit since then.
Do you think it's changed much?
Well, it did change as far as when I was young because they had the big mill, and that was
well, that's
just
one thing
about
that's
the,
definitely changed, is the
well,
timber
that was
industry.
the timber mill. It housed a lot of people, didn't it?
There was a thriving
It was
community
a
down
thriving
in Milltown. That's
yeah.
probably one of the major changes since I've
Major
been here too.
changes. And remember, there was the tobacco farms. You would have remembered that.
Before my time.
Yeah, they were. You know, they thought that it would be a good produce, but it wasn't. It ended up being a failure. Obviously, the ground or the weather wasn't right.
They said the seed was, I mean, the tobacco was poor quality, so they stopped growing.
So they stopped growing it, and of course all the people that had come down to live on those farms had to go because there was no other thing. And of course, farming was, you know, there was a lot of dairy farms.
There's not as many as there was.
No, there's only one, Steve, isn't it? There's only one.
Oh, there's a few. There's
Is it? Still?
5 or 6, I think, now.
Oh, is it?
But one of them has 2,000 cows.
Yeah, one's kind of
Can you
extraordinary.
imagine
And it's having its 100th year celebration as well this year.
Ah, I heard that and they were talking. My goodness. Yeah, well, I think they've done well because, you know, it's all automated and not the way
They've
we
got a
used to do it.
robot that actually
Oh,
detects it.
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Have you seen it?
No, I heard about it.
Yeah.
I tell you what, other people have been mentioning today is the dancers. They keep talking about the old time, the dancers or the town halls. And, so you went to a few of those?
Oh, everyone. Everyone had a new dress.
Twinkle Toes.
Twinkle Toes. Well, I wasn't a good dancer, but unfortunately, one time, and I was very shy. I didn't like limelight at all. And, you know, Arthur Mills.
Yeah.
And he's about this tall. And they had this thing, Romeo and Juliet, and he got Romeo and I got Juliet, and we had to do a dance around the floor on our own. Oh, it was mortified. They were the sort of thing like we had dress-ups, you know. And things like that.
They have themed dances.
Themes, that's the word, yeah. Yeah, so we had a lot of balls. And we used to go to Pemberton, we used to go to Manjimup. There was nothing to drive to Manjimup and back in the night. We had a good time.
And the roads probably weren't quite the quality they are now.
Of course not, they weren't. I don't know how we got there. John Jay used to drive. Me and John, you know, us. He used to drive us.
What was the wagon you were in?
He had a stylish little wagon. He loved, he loved little, he was a fast driver too, but he was a good driver. Always had confidence.
Yeah, right.
Except when your dad used to have a few too many beers, and he'd say, "Oh,
Dad,
John."
Johnny wouldn't have done that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He'd say, "John, could you stop for a second?" John would just lean out and spew and.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Righto, John. Off you go.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for letting me talk to you. That's great.
Oh, thank you.
Some good stuff. Yeah.
Oh.